Hello, hello. Welcome back. Today I'm talking about something that is such a real issue that I don't think is talked about enough. And this specifically affects people who are really dysregulated. They are really in their fight or flight, they're sympathetic dominant, meaning your body is kind of existing in survival. And these individuals tend to try to seek out different ways to calm the nervous system. And generally, meditation is one of the more popular ways that people will engage in this attempt to regulate. But then when they do actually sit down to meditate or even do anything in stillness, like yoga and any type of affirmations, visualizations, anything like that, they'll start to feel a little bit more anxious. And the nervous system can go a bit crazy, like jittery, sweaty, and it's like, oh my God, this feels really, really dangerous. And I don't know why. Am I doing something wrong? And it's not even like, can I meditate correctly? It's, can I even meditate at all? Am I capable of this? So I just want to come on and talk about why this happens, as well as to let you know that this is completely normal. So if you feel this way and this has been like a huge issue for you, don't worry. I want to talk about, what's the science behind this and why is this something that we need to address before you can actually sit down and meditate and enjoy the benefits of meditation. Before we dive into it, make sure you hit subscribe below if you are looking to heal your nervous system and any chronic symptoms that you might have, because that is the topic of every single video. Okay, let's get straight to it. Number one, here's what you need to understand. Anxious brains do not want stillness. So think about it this way. Your nervous system is always going to choose familiar chaos over unfamiliar peace. And so if you are used to chaos within yourself, it might not be in your environment. Either way, if you're used to it within yourself, so you are constantly running on anxious, your nervous system isn't really going to feel safe if you try to take it in the complete extreme direction of sitting and trying to be safe, sitting and trying to focus on some sort of affirmation or, meditation that's trying to get you into safety. Like that is going to feel really unfamiliar to you. So that is why you generally start to feel a ton of chaos within yourself when you try to sit down and meditate. So this is 100% normal, and this is always going to be the case. So you can apply this understanding to any situation. Whenever we are trying to change the state of our nervous system, when that state is unfamiliar, our nervous system is going to scream like, this is not comfortable. I don't want to be here. What are you doing? We need to run in the opposite direction. I need to get your attention. I don't feel safe. I'm going to create chaos. So when this is happening, you're right to listen to what your body's saying. And you don't want to force yourself because you're going to make the situation worse. If you've been in this situation, you know that you're only going to feel more anxious the more that you try to force yourself to sit there. It's going to become a really traumatic experience for you, right? So your job at this point is not to clear your mind, it's to create a sense of safety first. Because first and foremost, what's happening is that your nervous system feels unsafe. So we need to address that. And we really want to think about this, like building the foundations to be able to even get to the point of being able to meditate. So creating a sense of safety, my favorite way to do this when you're in a position like this is to lean towards something somatic. So somatic means of the body. And what you're doing by leaning into something somatic is you're speaking directly to the nervous system. So your nervous system perceives by feeling, right? It's why if you just say an affirmation while you're stressed, like it's not going to do anything for you, because unless you feel something within yourself, the nervous system doesn't understand your language. It doesn't understand that. So being able to use a somatic tool to create the sense of safety as your foundational step here to even be able to get into a place where you're able to start to meditate is step number one. So what does that look like? So this can look like rocking. So rocking is incredibly soothing to the nervous system and swaying. Think about a mother. They're always going to be rocking their baby, they're swaying their baby side to side or rocking in a chair. So from a primitive standpoint, that is hugely, hugely regulating. Getting your feet outside or even taking a really slow and mindful walk. So this movement is going to just discharge any of that energy, which is ultimately that feeling of like anxiety that you have. You can also do butterfly tapping. So you just interlock your fingers and you put them here on your collarbones and you tap. And it's slowly and you breathe with the taps. So this one, if you're doing the breathing with it and you really lean into the sensation of your touch, it's really going to start to down regulate that nervous system, and that chaos and energy that you feel within is really going to start to calm down. Another thing that you can do is a neck and jaw massage. You are generally going to find that with fight or flight, your jaw is going to feel tight. And this is because when we go into our survival mode, our body is ready to fight, flight, and bite. So from a very primitive standpoint, we would be actually biting a predator, right? And so we send a lot of energy here, which is why we get this grinding and this jaw pain. And even now, if you are in fight or flight, you'll notice that your shoulders are raised. So you can go ahead and drop them because that's a sign that your body is telling you that you're in fight or flight, and your jaw might be tight. So just kind of massaging your jaw out, and also just massaging around here on your neck, pushing your shoulders down, and just releasing that tension is going to be so powerful for you. So movement here is critical, and it creates that safety that stillness cannot. So it seems counterintuitive because traditional meditation scripts and videos and anything like that isn't necessarily going to start in a way that's conducive for people who are running chronically anxious. So again, you are not wrong. You're not doing it incorrectly. They're not tailoring to you. So even if it feels counterintuitive to start a meditation with movement like this, I want you to really block out the voices that are saying this feels weird and go towards what we know to be true about the nervous system, and really listening to the cues of the body, because the body doesn't lie, right? So if you're feeling anxious and you're feeling in your head about it, it's not going to work anyway. So there are so many ways to meditate. There is no right or wrong. So start with something here. Start with what feels good, and then we can move on from there. So step number 3 is going to be using guided meditations with anchoring cues. So guided is going to be really helpful for you, especially if you are chronically in fight or flight. You need some sort of voice to guide you, or else the thoughts are going to kind of hijack if you're doing something silently. So start with a guided meditation with anchoring cues. So anchoring cues are affirmations like, I am safe, even now my body finds peace, right? So something that can speak directly to your deeper mind to really reinforce that sense of safety that you've just brought to the body prior to sitting down and doing this work. So a lot of you might have had the experience where you're doing a guided meditation, you start by sitting down and slowing down your breath. That makes you feel more anxious. And then they go straight into this full-on meditation that you just can't even anchor into or perceive really in any sense of the word, because your body is like this, running. So by creating these affirmations and these cues of safety, you're actually able to kind of reinforce the work that you did prior to the meditation and remind the nervous system about that safety that you created. And think about it like this is the beginner level. You need to create a space for your nervous system to get used to this kind of work. So affirmations of safety and peace and healing and all of that is going to be critical, because once you get used to a feeling of safety in that stillness, then you can kind of move along that path to other types of meditations that perhaps aren't set up in this way. Another thing I would say is make sure to keep it short as you're first starting out. So I don't want you sitting there and challenging yourself to this 1 hour long meditation or this 30-minute meditation, or even like a 20-minute meditation. I want you challenging yourself to a 5-minute meditation. It's not about the duration of time. The only metric for success is, were you able to find stillness within yourself? And what that means is you built a mind-body connection. So the mind-body connection is your capacity to send the message to your body that there's safety. And if you are able to override that stress response in the work that I'm teaching you here, then you were able to send that message and you're starting to build that relationship. And just like any relationship, you first have to build it and then you have to strengthen it. And so that's what you're doing here. You're building that relationship. You're finding ways to communicate to the nervous system that it's okay. We're safe to chill. We're safe to relax. We're safe to find healing, and we're safe in this stillness. Step number 4 is anchoring to the sensation and not the thoughts. So when the anxious thoughts come up, because they will, by the way, so I don't want you to do this and then think, oh my gosh, I am doing it wrong because I had these anxious thoughts. And so, Faith said that the anxious thoughts would stop, but they didn't. So that's not true. I don't want you to think that if the anxious thoughts come, it's incorrect. And I have something to tell you, actually. Even the most experienced, meditator out there is going to have these thoughts. We're humans. That is what the mind does. It produces thoughts. And honestly, there's not a single person out there who doesn't have thoughts. Now, not everyone's are going to be anxious, right? But there's not a single person who's able to just be mindless. So if you're comparing yourself to people who are like, just focus on what I'm saying, well, I'm going to tell you the truth. Even those people who do this every single day, they have thoughts from time to time. So it's not wrong. It's normal. If you didn't have thoughts, you wouldn't be human. So I feel like a lot of people don't share the truth about what they actually experience when they're meditating. And I just want to come on and say, hey, by the way, everyone has this shared experience because we're human beings and it's not wrong. And let's talk about why this is happening, right? So when these thoughts arise, and at the beginning, they probably will be those anxious thoughts, I want you to anchor back into the body. So you'll notice this theme in what I teach. The body is going to be that place of safety for you that you anchor back into. So what does that mean? You could feel the way your body feels against the floor. So that's anchoring into that sensation and that weight. A lot of people call this grounding. They might even start the meditation that way. You can always come back to that tool when the thoughts arise. Another thing you can focus on is the temperature of the breath in your nose. This is going to bring you back into focusing on your breath, but give you something more specific to focus on. So a lot of people will say focus on your breath, but the mind wanders. So if you have a specific, okay, I focus on the temperature in my breath, it's just going to allow you to take your mind, distract your mind from those anxious thoughts. You can also focus on the feeling of your hands holding each other, or touching another part of your body, remembering that your body doesn't know the difference between you touching your chest, let's say, or someone else doing it. So even if you put your hands over your heart or your stomach, your body actually perceives that as the same as someone else doing that. And so you can move your hands to a comforting place on your body and really feel the sensation of what that feels like, the sensation of comfort, and really get detailed in what you're feeling, every single finger, every sensation, as you keep your hands on a place that feels good. And you can play around with this. Remember, anxiety is in your head and you can find your safety in your body. So just remember, when those thoughts arise, drop down. Drop down. Don't try to argue with the thoughts when they're happening. I wish that worked, but it doesn't really, right? It's like you're having a panic attack. You can't just be like, oh, I'm going to be chill. It doesn't work. So don't do that. Drop into the body. Use the tools that I'm giving you immediately. Don't overthink it. And that's what's great about it. It's not about thinking, it's about doing. And that really takes your mind away from wherever it's going, into the future, into the fear, and all of the discomfort that you might be feeling. So I really want this to be a conscious reframing your meditation as a nervous system practice, not as something that you have to master, right? Every time that you create safety within your body, you are creating new neural pathways of safety. And what this means is you're literally changing the physical structure of your brain to start to default to safety instead of fear. And that's what this is. This is purely a practice. It is not something that you need to go achieve. It is a practice to help you create more safety within the body and the mind, to create new pathways in the brain that allow you to bring safety and mindfulness and stillness to your everyday life. So if this is you at all and you resonate, I really, really hope this helped you, and that it's going to make a big difference in how you approach your mind-body connection and that practice. If there's anything else you want to learn about on the topic, drop it below and I'll make sure to make you a video.